Okay, I'm going to make a video here about, I'm just about to start over, but I'm not going to start over, okay? I'm going to make a video. Look, I made a slide. It's confidential. Of course, nothing's confidential. I'm going to make a slide, a video about, oh my God, I can't talk like other old people. I'm going to make a video about using generic macros because I've made some changes to them, I've fixed them, and I want to make sure that you understand kind of some of the real capabilities of it, other than the shift to the right, but some ways to get functions downloaded to do efficient coloring to make a menu really nicely and elegantly. So it's going to be a lot about just VBA. Now I've been experimenting, not well, I'm a little bit slower, on using Python in Excel because I can't download some of the financial statement data anymore from MarketWatch. I'm going to just discuss some programming issues with VBA in this context, so it's going to be, in that sense, a little technical. As we're working through some of these generic macro issues, we'll talk about a couple of kind of real-world details that have come up lately, including the setting up of a reserve account if you have negative repayments, or alternatively the setting up of a revolver, a commitment with a revolving credit. And so those are ways you can handle the issue of what happens if the sculpting results in negative repayments and why that occurs. And then again, why I believe it's so important to make a separate sheet and keep the debt structuring analysis separate from the risk analysis, and some waterfalls, and finally how to use this interpolate function, which I think is an important function. I remember when I wrote it, and we'll tell you a very boring story about that. So those are some of the subjects. Let's get started. Now, I don't know what you think about this, and I don't know what you think about this, and where is it now? Just a minute. You see, I have my little whatever, the stuff for the Python. Okay, and I guess I have to look up in this stuff, and I guess I have to find, I can understand how people don't want to show their screens all the time. Let's look at a few of my outlines, and some of these, I have these different outlines, and I want to tell you something. One of the main things I wanted to tell you as I'm going to try to get some stuff here, oh my gosh, not that one, just a minute. Oh God, whatever, oh my God, shoot. So here is a financial modeling outline I came across, and in this outline what interested me was this statement. This statement that, one of the first things they want to talk about is improving first impressions of the models, making your models works of art. Okay, and and I don't know, they don't talk about complicated sculpting, some of my favorite issues, resolving circular references efficiently, not with copy-paste, of course, that wouldn't be in there. Developing all kind of tools to make, good kind of risk analysis. None of that stuff. Getting a very well-structured model. No, it's about first impressions. So, if you would like to, let's, I don't want to make that mistake again now, but I can't find my, where is it? Okay, oops, just a minute. Oh, shit. Okay, so let's go to my website. It's maybe arrogant. Maybe I'm like Walt Disney. I can't stand who names things after himself. Other people name buildings after themselves and golf courses. I don't mean to do that, but somebody suggested it a long time ago. Now, if you want to kind of get stuff on, get this generic macros, you go here, or in case you don't want to go there, you can go over here and Excel and VBA, and there's generic macros. And I have some old stuff on here, okay, but I've updated a lot. So you can download it from here. Let's download it from here, okay? And when you open, let's open the file and see what happens when you open the file. Now for some, oops, I've got it open already. Just a minute, I'm going to have to close it. Okay. This file has to be named generic macros. Okay, so let's go and get it from the downloads. Okay, I hope that's where it went. All right. Now it's a lot of times when you download it, it says that it's got all sorts of violations and all that. And what you then have to do is go to properties, and actually it does have that. It says unblock. So before you open the file, you've got to right click and just unblock, and then you can apply it. Okay, that's a pain. You didn't used to have to do that. So let's open it. Doesn't matter where we open it from. Okay. And now let's just kind of understand what's in here. I've got look at this. This is this is Shift Control Alt D, I think, and it gives you some of their own shortcuts. It's got stuff, you know, that I just work on a lot, which is one of these things where you want to cut and transpose. And when you try to do the cut and paste, that doesn't really work in Excel, so you can't fix things. I don't know why I started with that. Let's start with the color. Now, I do this a whole lot, and I think what we'll do is let's color an input page. So let's go to an input C page. Now, do you notice I have input C, input S, input C for financing, input S for actuals? I think there's no law, no crazy idiotic law that says, oh, we have to only have one input page and all that. Now, the first thing we can do is we press Control Alt C. Okay, well, you don't do that because I screwed up already. I had to do this because I don't want to include an auto open, and this file needs, the program itself needs to get data from this default values. It needs to get the colors, it needs to get information on your sheet. So you can't, you have to make a little initialize, I couldn't get a word out again, which you can press this one, or you can press this one. And I strongly urge you to do this. And the reason I do this is, whoops, Control Alt, did I just press the initialize button or no? I can press it from here. I might not have done that. Now, I also want to show you how to make those little they're called user forms. And I think they're helpful psychologically. Maybe that's what those other people should have put in that little model. Make it psychologically, because you notice when it starts taking a tiny bit of time, it's too long. And now you can reset the colors, and then we can choose to get rid of all the conditional formatting. Sometimes you don't want to do that, and sometimes you do. and we can choose to remove all our underlines. You know, maybe if you got way too many underlines, you want to do that. And then you just click the reset button, and I put a little message box there, and it gets rid of all the stuff. Okay, and then we've got basically a blank sheet. And we also, if you go to the home page, we don't have any conditional formatting. Okay, and I hope we don't. Good. Okay, but here's what you might want to do. Do you see how I have the 1, 2, 3, 4? And do you see how I have a det structuring case? For me, this is a really, really important case. Instead of pulling things out with the index over here, you might want to take this det structuring page. You might want to create a page that only takes this column. Okay, and when we do this, let's just, should I start here or here? I think we'll start here. We'll go all the way down. I've got some other stuff here. And then we'll go back to the beginning, and we'll go back to the top. And this is just, we're going to create our own conditional formatting, okay? Why? Oh no. Okay. Home. Just a minute. Okay. Oh shoot. Okay, again, we have to start here. I think I had 2 sheets switched on at the same time. Oh, God. And maybe I should accelerate this on all this. So what we do, we make a new rule. We always go all the way down to the format, and then we say, let's take this scenario number, which we use with the index, and make it equal to this number. But when you press this number, you press F4 a couple of times. Keep it on the same row, but let the columns move. That's what we do here. And let's make a very light color. So let's put fill, but the kind of the lightest color almost we can find. How about this one? Okay, and then we can format it. Now the reason I would do this is next time, and then you can see that we can take our different cases, but in this case is an essential case. This det structuring case, you're basically going to run, you could either run a separate model, you could either run a base model, get this scenario, copy and paste values as the copy and paste values, or you could use my UDF method and directly get it. Okay, now I have to tell you something. I'm running classes right now. Some people ask about classes. I'm running classes every Saturday. In US it's Saturday morning, it's India it's Saturday evening, and Asia it's Saturday pretty late, Europe Saturday kind of afternoon, and I'm shocked that people want to do this. Well, I don't really charge anything. And when we have those classes, we just have general kind of discussion when we make absolutely sure that you really practice this and know how to do this. So now when you run this coloring, okay, well, before we do the coloring, let's just make sure that you know kind of how to operate this. And what you do, and there's a lot of legacy shit here, frankly. All these kind of standard colors we used to do, but this, I made this a row a little bit bigger, and maybe we want to use this color. And if you copy, that's not it. Did that work? Let's use this funky green color. Okay, and obviously I have no taste. I am. Did I? I think I did it as values. I want Alt-ST as formats. We want the formats. And Hetty uses this color, and I think that's probably, she's got very good taste. Okay, I'm just copying it, and I don't know what the sum color is. I want a little bit lighter sum column, but I don't want it to, yeah, let's use this one. Okay, so these ones, these ones you can totally pick your own colors for the true falses, for all the kind of coloring we do, and we focused. And when I say we, I'm thinking about Eddie, because she said, no, make a sum column, because sum columns are so important. Make sure you color things that you're taking from another sheet. That's this linked color. So we'll make that green, okay? I'm leaving that green. I could try to make it a darker green. And then the true and false will make a different color. Now when you change this, and you change it right here in this line, then you press this initialize again. And that will say, okay, Mr. Macro Sheet, go back and find those colors and then change them. And now what I'm going to do is show you some of the code in just a minute. Okay, and then we go back and we press Shift Control C, Control Alt C, I mean, okay. Sometimes that doesn't work if you've got Bloomberg or something and they override all these things. And if they override them, I'm going to show you how to go into the code and change the little shortcuts. And we have a whole lot of shortcuts, obviously, as well. And this time, when you, here, we're not going to include the conditional formatting. We're not going to clean it out this time. We're going to make sure and do it. And I think we have about 2 rows on the top. And this one, it's not complete. I make this file, so you know what the heck, it's free, so if you complain about it, that's fine. It works, I think, pretty well. Now, then you do these little windows that come up. It's with, oh, that green color certainly was no good. But I do these for psychological reasons and to make sure if something goes wrong, you see where it goes wrong. So we keep the conditional formatting, and it kind of sucks, but whatever. All right, and then we go, it really does suck. I can't do that, so this is kind of, let's try this one, what I was going to do anyway. Okay, and maybe this is a little bit better. Okay, we have to, again, initialize, and then we run it. Control-Alt-C to run it. Okay, and this time, it should have really remembered this, so I'll have to make a note in my little log, by the way, that it's supposed to remember this from the last time you did it, so you really wouldn't have to do it again. So we'll just color the sheet again, okay? And here, it says how many seconds it takes. Where it says time taken, I should put it in seconds, and it's kind of telling you what it does for each of these. Just again, so psychologically you can see. I don't know if this is any better. These are conditional formattings when you have a 1 and a 0, and okay. And then let's just do the same thing here. Again, just to practice, we've got 5. So you would reset the colors, and oops, let's remove it this time because it's a separate sheet. Okay, so I didn't do conditional formatting, and then we just press Control-Alt-C, and if we want to keep the same formats, we just go up to the number 5. Now I'm going to show you how to change some of this yourself. Okay, people have been asking me a little bit about VBA, and I can really understand both the use for VBA and some use for Python, and especially when you're trying to delve yourself right into a website, find what's really in that HTML code. I don't know if I like this formatting, but whatever. And then we'll do a more important one, which let's go to a modeling one. Now this modeling one, there's a real big question. Should we make one operating model, and then in the financing model, should we make one operating model and financing model that's just for sizing and structuring the debt, and another page for taking the fixed amount of debt and then doing downside and upside kind of analysis on it. They're two very different kind of things. This time, one more time, I'm sorry, it looks like I've got 9 things at the top, and maybe I shouldn't have talked, and I should have kind of accelerated the video here, but okay, I'll stop here, okay? It's going through the sums, and maybe the way I look for the sum column is not perfect. I have to go and find which column has the most sums in there. That's how I do it, okay? Or you can define these columns yourself. Now, here is kind of a big innovation in this, okay? That's just coloring, and if you're, by the way, if you're going to check, see, it takes a little bit of time, and I guess I really should have accelerated this. I'm going to pause it instead. Okay, I should get air conditioning for my house. I'm sweating here. My whatever opponent. Okay. Let's maybe finish up the coloring part. Okay. And in the coloring part, what you can do, I made a blank menu sheet. Okay, you've got to kind of make a menu sheet, and I changed this around now. So if I press Control-Alt-C once again, and this time after I press Control-Alt-C, I'm running this one, which is Run Table of Contents. Now this does 2 things. Okay, it goes and gets the menu. Okay. Now when it finishes, I skip to this, it says, do you want to put, I put all these stupid pictures of Elvis in there before, and do you want to skip it? Here, I said, yes, let's skip that stupid thing. And then it'll put your menu together, but more important than putting your menu together, and again, I think I've shown you this a few times, but if we want to go to the timeline in input C, we click on this one, and it just makes a hyperlink that goes back and forth. Sometimes you might not like that, and maybe you want to even take that away, okay? And this one will go back, okay? But this is the important thing. This is what I've really been working on much more, which is it tells you exactly what all those color codes you have are. So if you just have a couple of minutes, really, you're trying to make some kind of exam, or you're trying to do something really fast, and you want to really impress people, you could, maybe it's not that impressive, I shouldn't say that, but that's part of all of our that's part of having a model presentation, okay? And now let's also talk about something else that the generic macros does. So I'm saving this file. Now remember, if you've got a, let's do one more thing. Let's do one more thing. In my audit sheet, what I like to do in an audit sheet is I like to let's make this not work so well. Now, if we, this is another thing I kind of want to show you, is let's change our scenario around. Okay, let's put the base case in. We've got a different IRR, a very miserable IRR because of the currencies. And we've got a problem. The circular reference isn't working, and now I really want to make this into the UDF. And what I did here is, this is a long-term kind of analysis, and you can see because of exchange rates, assumptions, and inflation, we have a very big increase. And we're trying to issue the debt just for the first little part of it. And what happens is we run into negative debt, and when we run into negative debt, one of the things we can do is make a reserve account. Another thing is to make a revolver, and we can do that pretty easily. And I made a earlier video that I really screwed up, and I didn't make it really clear, and finally I'm getting this. But you use the NA trick, and you just put a little true false associated with one of these, and you can kind of really present the graphs and get them effectively presented. And what we have to do is we're getting some interest income on this little reserve account we have, which is the most here, and then it goes down, and then we've got to withdraw from the reserve so we can make the interest down here. This interest corresponds to that, so we can't even make any repayments, but we don't want to have negative repayments, and we've got to push the repayments out and make them over here. So that's how we would do it with the reserve. But if you've got interest income, and the interest income affects the cash flow you need, and the cash flow affects the reserve account you need, there's a circular reference related to that, and some people don't like that. Now, if we go to our audit sheet, we have a circular reference, but we could also, let me see if I can't resize the debt. I'm hoping to get another I'm hoping to get another problem. Okay, and let me see if we get another problem, because and I didn't get another problem, but right here it says if E8 is false, then model okay, but then F3, we don't really want F3. What we want to do is put a little test on each one of these, and they all could go wrong. Let's make our balance sheet go wrong. Now, you could try concatenate and all that, but it's a pain. I would rather use a user-defined function that just adds these texts and puts a space in, and it doesn't. You don't have to add them with a little and sign, this plus this plus this plus this. You want a really fast function. So what you do is you go Control-Alt-C again, okay? And after you go to Control-Alt-C, you go to Import Functions, and you started with this generic macro, which is where they are, and then we're going to import that, and let's input the add text function, which is a really simple one, actually. And I'm going to show you how to read that. And then this one should be, we could just up here add, it should say circular reference and the balance sheet, so we put add text, and we just select all of these, and then it gives us both of them, and then we can get them all together, okay? And if I re-input true, I haven't done the balance sheet for this thing yet. We have that. That's a user-defined function. Now that you cannot use that user-defined function from the, you can't use that user-defined function from the you cannot from the generic macros. You have to copy it into your sheet. That's why we had to have that little thing that does this. And I tried to put some of the user-defined functions that I use in here. So now if we fix the debt, hopefully it will say, we're okay. We're going to resolve that circular reference. Notice it's taking a little bit of time. And that little tiny bit of time right there that it takes, that's why you want to maybe use a user-defined function. And there are a couple of other important reasons to use it, because it'll check your work. And if you do a goal seek together with it and all this, it's going to not optimize, because we might want to re-optimize the debt. Blah, 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 blah. Enough of this. I'm going to save this file and close this file, and then I'm going to open a new file. And I remember sitting in Prague in a restaurant. This is one of the bizarre things you have. And if I have, let's say, 2024, and oops, let's do it like this. Let's put equals sequence, and put one row, 20 columns, started 2024, and go up by 1. Okay, now, did you know, I didn't know this, if I want to transpose this, if I want to equal transpose, if I just select this and just press enter, I don't have to do that whole thing anymore. Maybe it's obvious to everybody, but I always thought you had to press shift control enter and all that stuff. Now if I put 2024 and then 2026, 2030, 2040, we have some sort of inflation rate, okay? And you know, if you have different inflation rate and exchange rates, it can be a big deal. Let's say we have 10%, and then we think we're going to get it down to 7%, and then we think we're really optimistic that we're going to be able to manage it all. I don't want to do a lookup. I could use lookup. I go up one. I could put this one in, and I could put that one in, okay? Shift Control P, because there are a whole bunch of shortcuts with this. And then you could put, then it just steps down, okay? Or you could use, let's insert a couple of rows, or you could use X lookup, and I gotta make sure this is good practice for me. Take this one, take this one, start it exactly the same. Let's put false if we can't find it. And then let's put, we don't want an exact match, we want a match or the next smaller item, I think, and then we want to do a search from first to last. Whoops. Let's do this one. How come that didn't work? Whoops. Come on. And then put 1. Okay? And I hope we get the same result. We get exactly the same result. Okay? That's just that we don't get the problem with NAs. Now we can use, now to make this into interpolate, what you do is you press Control-Alt-C again, and then you can look at these functions. Really, that's what I'm making this video about. And then you go to Import Functions. By the way, I press Shift-Control-R because that's another little macro in the generic macro sheet. And I used to complain if people start going up to the paintbrush or people start doing all that, what a waste of time. A lot of you have to do it. So now we're going to put this in book 1, and now we're just going to put this interpolate function. I had a little bit of problem with this, so I put this message box. If you want to take that message box, you can go to the generic macros and find it and get rid of it, and then you put equal interpolate. And you can either put interpolate or do kind of, which is a compound growth or a linear, or if you have to go backwards, it's a little bit trickier. So, you know, down instead of up. I don't know. You can try this. It works just like the lookup function. Okay, and so we've got this, and now you can see it gradually goes down. And now let's do another interpolate. So let's do equal interpolate a linear, and they're not in every task, that's for sure. You don't need this, but sometimes it can really help. It can help in doing this fancy, what we call this curved sculpting. So let's just, how about let's do this. I'm going to delete this, and we'll just put lookup, and then we'll put interpolate 1, and then interpolate 2, and how about this? We go into 2040. We'll leave it. I was going to show you the NA trick again, but start with a blank one, Shift Control right arrow, either press alternate F1, or you press, and the difference between those interpolates is not very much. Let's instead press F11. Oops, I pressed F12, F11, and let's make it maybe a, I've never tried this, I should practice, you know, I wonder if people practice their stuff first, chart type, and let's make it a line. I shouldn't have, well, I guess it shows up better as a line. You can see the difference in the interpolate isn't much, but of course you don't have the step down functions. Why? And I hope no Mr. Excel person is going to start taking this away and say, that's now a part of Excel. Well, they probably will, and that's probably okay. Maybe it's even in there. Oh, it already exists. Okay, so there's no reason to save this one. Okay, and now let's, I think that covers the things I was really going to cover. Okay, I can't, where's our PowerPoint? Okay, and yes, we've kind of done all this stuff, talked about reserve accounts and use of the interpolate just a little bit. And now let's just have you understand how to look at the code. Now I made a mess of this. It was a total mess. We've been going around and around. You right click and then go to edit. And then now when you go to edit, number one, there are a lot of these user forms. This user form 1, whoops, and it goes to user form 10. That's the thing here. It's a user form, and you insert, you go up here and you insert, you press insert, you make a user form, and then it's a little bit quirky at first. You got to kind of get used to it, but you can define a label or a checkbox or what you call a command button and all these kind of things, and then you have to then take it out of that, whatever, use those. I'm not speaking very clearly. Now, if you're, what I have tried to do is separate all of this stuff. So this is just how we open the whole sheet. This is how you make that Shift Control R work. And if it doesn't work and you want to fix it, this has got all the shortcuts. So we look, and one of the good shortcuts, really, that my friend Ali was doing, he was doing this thing, and he was, you know, if we make a, whatever, let's put equal mod of this, comma 2, okay, and let's make it equal a 0. Does that work? So we have true, false, true, false. If we want to make this any true, false, which I think instead of putting those horrible if statements, he was taking it, putting a parenthesis around it, multiplying it by 1. If you press Shift Control B, it just does that for you. And it's just a little macro that goes and multiplies it by 1. And then if you wanted to add this to your sheet, for example, you would, where are we? We're in the shortcuts, and I don't know where I have it. This is how we make a sum that goes all the way to the end. This is our Shift Control B, and you can see it's not that complicated. I wonder if you could, now how this Chat GPT would work, if it would find it and do it for you. Maybe it would. Okay, I'm afraid it would. I'll start crying if it would just not. You wouldn't have to go to my website to get it, but whatever. Who cares? Okay, I'm getting old. And then we this one makes that. This one tells you what to do with that color menu. So you go down here, and you notice it says user form, and it has a little thing, and that's kind of a little bit. Not quite. No, I was going to say it's a little bit like. There's some analogies to Python. This is if we run the color. This is when we're first running the input colors, and then we run the whatever the next one is, the sum colors, and it then says go to this sheet. Now there are a whole bunch of basically libraries in Excel. This is why VBA was probably popular a while ago. You can grab all this stuff from Excel. You can grab the time. That's a ridiculous one. But let's go to the sum one. So if we wanted to go to the sum, then it takes you there, and I've got a lot of these green comments, and you can look and say, no, I want to fix this, or I had to put not this one. Each of the when you just color a cell, it makes this little a program for you. So basically I'm doing a whole bunch of stuff, whatever. And then this is how you do the color of true and false, and what happens if you're in French and it's oui ou non, or falsch oder what? Vouch, what is it in var? Oh my God, I'm sorry. Okay, and what happens if you want to add another language? You can go and look at this and then try to do this. So I cleaned all this stuff up, and then if we go to the functions, let's go to our functions for interpolate. Basically what that little thing does, this is a function. And somewhere at the end of the function, there it says define interpolate lookup. And it works through the functions, and if you don't like the way it looks, you can change it and use something else. But you notice it has to take a lookup value, a lookup series, and a value series. And then what did I put an on-off thing there? And then there's a linear lookup, and you can just go and look up this code and then fix it. I've got XMIRR, a function for flexible PMTs if the interest rate changes, a function for payback, a function for some other stuff. I put our dynamic goal seek in there, and you can see the function for the add text somewhere down here. And that's really simple. That's so simple. It's 3 lines. Okay, it just says take that text and put a little a space in there. So if you want 2 spaces or no spaces or a slash or something else, you just go and change that function. So I think that's enough of this video. All right. I just want to make sure that you can make a nice